The Historic Resource Commission meeting will be called to order at 6:05 p.m. The Historic Resource Commission is charged with promoting, enhancing, and preserving the character of the historic district as well as landmarks, including the Courthouse Square Historic District. The commission has a quasi-judicial role. The commission hears evidence, determines relevant facts, and applies the law as it concerns the exterior changes to our demolition or other properties, as well as new construction in the district. Commission members shall conduct themselves with professionalism and show courtesy to fellow board members, other city representatives, and the public. A board member shall approach the disagreements in a positive fashion and refrain from personal criticism of meeting participants and other city representatives. Once the majority of the commission reaches a decision, the majority shall respect and honor the decision. Please remember all public meetings and public hearings are recorded. All comments must be recognized by the chairperson and addressed through the microphone. When speaking to the commission, please stand, speak slowly and clearly into the microphone and state your name and address for the record recorded. Please be respectful to others and refrain from disruptions during the meeting and refrain from conversations with others in the audience, as the microphones are very sensitive and can pick up whispers in the back of the room. Please silence all cell phones. Roll call and confirmation of a quorum. Jim Young. Here. Matt Haley. Zipporah Clark Baldwin, present. Karen Chin. Terry Carreras. We rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now if we could just pause for a moment of silence. We would now consider the minutes from the July 12th, 2023 and September 5th, 2023 meeting of the Historic Resources Commission. The minutes include findings of facts and conclusions of law. Commission, are there any corrections or concerns? If not, may I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
For both meetings, both the September and the special July meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes are accepted as presented. We will now begin the evidentiary hearings of the items listed on the agenda as a quasi-judicial proceeding. The Historic Resources Commission is not setting policy, nor are we soliciting public opinion on the desirability of an application. The Historic Resource Commission hears and considers evidence presented and applies the standards set forth in the guidelines and standards of the specific historic district for that application. The Historic Resources Commission must make its decision upon competent material and substantial evidence to determine the facts of hearing. The Historic Resources Commission will use judgment and discretion to apply the standards contained in the relevant guidelines to the application. The commissioners in voting for an item shall not have a fixed opinion nor susceptible to change, have a conflict of interest, have engaged in ex parte communication regarding the application. This meeting is open to the public, but participants is limited to parties withstanding to participate who wish to provide comment, testimony regarding the proposal. If you will be speaking as a witness, please focus on the facts and how they relate to the relevant historic district standards and guidelines, not personal preference, hearsay, or opinion. I now move to open the public hearing. May I have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The public hearing is now open. We're now in the public hearing for the COA 2304. Cameron, will you please present the staff for report for the COA 2304?
Go ahead.
Indicate a location of the property on the map, summarize applicant's proposal, and please indicate impacts of the other properties in the vicinity and visibility of the work proposed from the public right-of-way, including level of significance and adjoining properties.
All right, so as you can see on your agenda packets, this is located within the West Court Square area, labeled right here in this blue outline. So literally right tucked in here in the corner on the southwest Court Square side. So basically the applicant is requesting approval for a certificate of appropriateness for the following areas located at 32 Southwest Court Square. They're looking to install awnings over the two windows that are located there, replace existing windows that are currently on the front of the facade, and also paint the existing brick facade, all of which are major COA requirements that require URL approval. I have provided in the staff report as well aspects of sections of the handbook that the commission may find helpful associated with it, that could have any association with the impacts and everything else that goes on outside of the area down there in the historic district. So take account of those. And I've also drafted up motion language as well for you all whenever you find your, finish up your decision making and deliberation on the topic. So I'll be happy to answer whatever questions you have. I don't believe that the applicant is with us today, so you can ask for if anybody would like to speak on behalf of it, and nobody shows up in the meantime, then basically kind of just close the public hearing and y'all will deliberate amongst yourselves. So.
Okay. We've all had an opportunity to look at the materials presented. Are there any questions, concerns about the materials that we have already have approved by the commission as opposed to what's being submitted? To me, it looks like it's pretty streamlined. I don't see anything out of character besides the sign. We always get into the sign perspective, and I'm not really clear about that. So Cameron, if you have any information that you can enlighten about
So the request for this COA, so we're talking about the certificate of appropriateness approved. There is no, the signage is a minor approved. So that's something that's approved at staff level. So there's no aspect of signage that you are all making the decision on tonight, outside of maybe what comes down at the facade grant applications. But the COA request, as I mentioned, is specifically for the installation of the awnings, replacing the existing windows, and painting the brick facade out there.
Okay, very good. I just wanted that for the record. I had a question about the sign and I was not able to answer it, so I wanted to direct it directly to you.
Sure.
Okay, there's no representative here.
That building's already black. Right, kind of like a slate, dark gray.
Not necessarily. And if you want to, what we'll do, and I'll get right back to you, Mr. Young, is if, calling the applicant, if she's not here, nobody's here, then we'll close the public hearing and we'll start doing the deliberation between you all and I. So that way, I guess we'll keep in line with all the procedural aspect of it.
Chairman, I've also been asked that we extend the deadline for the application. Do we need to do that now or after we close?
I think we should take care of the existing agenda item of the COA, since we are still currently in a public hearing. And the facade grant applications are a separate agenda item. I think if we stay on track on this agenda item, then we can talk about it whenever it comes up. But let's figure this one out first and then we can bring it back up.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay. I ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
And move that we close public hearings.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? A call for a motion stated as fact findings of the fact that the applicant proposal is not congruous with the historic aspect of the district with respect to each of the design criteria including the reason therefore and subject to any conditions may be imposed.
Mr. Porter, do you mind if I stop you? I think you're leading into, and it could have been a misplaced discussion item there, but we closed the public hearing and now you all can deliberate amongst yourselves. Mr.
Okay.
Young can revisit his question towards
Yes.
me and any other questions that you all may have, and then we'll get into you all making a motion based on the findings of facts, everything that was presented, and kind of go from there. So, Mr. Young, back to,
See you.
you're asking about the color of the building, correct?
I think it's like a dark gray, well, a little darker than the shade of this exit door here.
Mhm.
Let's see. I think the brick is a little bit lighter than maybe what's right there, because it's all outside brick facade. I'm gonna try and get if my computer,
I might be thinking of the wrong building. This is,
this is the Ector Law Firm.
okay, so this one's right on the corner next to, like, there's a little chunk of Graham Furniture Mart right there.
Yes, sir.
That's
Correct.
right, that's
Okay.
right.
So it is,
thinking
it's
of the
hard to
big
see
building.
with
Yes.
this,
It is.
so this is the building that we're looking at
Oh,
right
okay.
here.
Mhm.
So you can tell it's existing brick facade and it's, I don't, it's like tannish almost, right?
Yeah.
So that's what they're looking to do is, existing brick. Hasn't really been touched up or painted in the past, and they're looking to paint it, I guess, white. That the little eggshell white, I believe that is what they provided. I think the color that they were looking to paint it matches, the exterior paint colors that's in our little swatch, but I think it's not more or less about the color. It's more or less about the painting of the existing brick on there and whether or not you all think, that's according to what's in the handbook.
Can I get a handbook?
So I don't have one on me, I
It's
guess.
online. You can find it
It's
online.
online, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'll pull it up for you. And like I said, there's
No,
a,
I'm just something for me to read later. That's okay.
yes, sir.
Thank you.
The only question I do have is that the description of the paint color, it says a creamy white, and I'm not really clear on what a creamy white is. I looked at our palette and I don't find a creamy white per se. So I don't know how we would match that. If he has a color swab that he could present.
They do. Then they presented one to me and it matches what the one that's out there as well. It's actually sitting in my office. So if we want to continue talking about, the brick itself, we can run back there and grab it. But it is one of the matching facade items. So they literally.
I would
just tear it
definitely
out.
like to see that and
Yeah,
have that
it's
in
literally just sitting right under my computer.
for our discretion.
And then there's another like little black piece under it as well, if you want to bring that in there too. So, and I guess to your point, Mr. Young, this is basically pretty much what the handbook is for the Historic Resource Commission. I understand this is your first meeting as well with us, and basically some of the stuff that I picked out that would be closely looked at when you're looking at some of these things is this design guidelines for any development that's happened in the downtown area, this building exterior. And as I mentioned, in the staff report on the agenda that you all have, there's a couple of numbers that are picked out. I don't know if, when you received the agenda that any of y'all got a chance to look at some of the sections and how it relates to, the things that are being asked. I don't know exactly which ones that are associated with the building brick facade. So the painting B 2.7, B 2.8, B 12.4. So there's aspects of, what it states in the handbook is, unpainted masonry should not be painted, repaint masonry surfaces that were previously painted in colors appropriate to the building and or site. What was it else? 12.4.
I think you've done a good job of
Yeah.
the, what applies to
Mhm.
that particular.
Yeah,
thing.
but it's just, as whenever we receive the agenda, and like I said, it's none to your fault as well, because you didn't, really know there was a handbook to go off of, but, I just have to provide, good materials for you all to go off of. I mentioned materials such as brick, stone, wood, shingles, and certain materials have historically been unpainted, should not be painted. So, a lot of these things that, come into play, but then again, it's not my decision to make. You are the board up here that are abiding by the handbook. If you see that, this upgrade to the facade out there is something that benefits it, then I mean, that's kind of y'all's prerogative as well. So, but I just provide, staff insight on what's listed inside the handbook. So ultimately up to y'all. So
On the colors, is this Is this something where the building owner would go and like say, I like that color, and they grab that and then they present it to the board? Or does the board have, like when you're doing, web or print, you have like a,
I think I know what you're getting at.
number. For the
Yeah.
color.
So we have,
Everybody knows how to have that color.
it's actually at the bottom of here as well. We have, well, this is awning colors, but it's basically, we have, Sherwin-Williams has a historical, designation of, I guess, paint colors. And that's what I think the commission decided a while back, that they were going off of. I think before probably all of y'all's time up here as well, as that's what the standard was for the exterior of buildings at least. So,
Perfect. Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
yes, sir. And
So when I have,
the one
are
that's.
you finished?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I was going to, the one that we just gave you all is one that matches what links up with the historical things that Sherwin-Williams has. So that is a part of our swatch.
I missed one part. Is the brick, is that the natural color of that brick, or is it painted already?
From what they told me is they thought that it was natural. So I can't necessarily confirm or deny, and I don't know if I'm in a position to confirm or deny, due to the fact that, it's not my property. I told them that they probably would need to be here to discuss all these things with you all tonight as well. But, from the looks of it, I don't think that it's been previously painted before. I think it's.
It didn't
standard
look
brick.
painted. That's why
You
So
said it
then
does
if
look.
it's-
painted?
it doesn't. So
So if it's not painted, if we do find the facts and the findings to be that it's not painted and that it's a natural brick, then that would say that B 2.7 would indicate that it could not be painted, if I'm reading this correctly. So we would need that definitely clarified in order for us to make a decision about the paint. And then my second point is that I have in front of me two examples of what the applicant has submitted.
Mhm.
Okay, as opposed to, is this the Sherwin-Williams or is this? the
That's the Sherwin-Williams. I'll tell you,
Okay.
the white is what they want to paint. The,
So what I asked for was for an example of what the applicant was asking, so we can compare it to what we have, just to make sure, because his description does not indicate classical, because when I looked it up, this is what I did find, classical
Mhm.
white on our palette, but I don't know how to compare it with creamy white. But I think we are kind of overstepping ourselves again by even spending too much time on it, because we first need to clarify whether or not the brick is natural or painted. And if it has not been painted, then B 2.7 is indicated that it cannot be.
Mhm.
So
Would it- I'm sorry, Madam Chairman.
I'm not understanding.
Would it be more of like, not a shall not be painted, would be more of, you can't paint it, or should not is like, well, maybe.
You are flirting with the fine lines of, being on a board, right? So it's not a shall not, these are the standards that are associated with it. And these standards are what you all are, I guess, tasked to uphold, is whether or not you see that this meets this requirement. And if you think that, this paint color on this type of brick would, I guess, enhance or whatnot, then, that's your, like I said, decision to make. But if you're going off what's on this, then, like I said, it's your decision to make. And I think that's what leaves out, the shall, is because, if all this stuff in here just stated shall, then what's the point of you all when, staff could take care of it now? So, and I don't think that brick is painted out there. And as for, I was handed those two by the applicant. And the black is for the window piece. And
For
the
the
white
awning.
is for, the windows
And the window trim. Yeah, I get that. I just want to make sure that I know we're here for a reason. And I respect that reason, but I also need to know that if it's stated here in our handbook and it is clearly indicating shall not, I don't know if we can change that, and if we can't,
It doesn't say
Um,
shall not as well.
Should.
well, should not be painted. So should not, shall not is saying not to have it painted,
And
from
yes,
my
ma'am.
understanding.
And that's for y'all to decide as well. So,
that's what,
Bring the building, the front of the building.
yes, sir. If I can find my mouse.
The color that he's asking for looks like it's very close to the existing color of the natural brick that has not been painted. So it looks to me like Hector wants to retain the color of the building. And if the paint is the same color.
Classical
I-
white is
I
not gonna
see it
be as
as-
dim and as beige as this is gonna be. It's gonna give it a total different look, which I think will be very nice. But again, does it match what we already have in place?
I think,
Sorry.
the way that the
I was gonna pull something up. I think I have correspondence between me and
All
them.
right.
looks, if they can, the color that is now, if they can
I think it's nice, but
match that as close as possible, but just looking at the way that the building is now, it definitely needs something because it's just, it needs cleaning. And
Yeah.
I don't know if it would be a good idea to like pressure wash brick, especially not on, historical brick. It definitely needs cleaning. But maybe they could, it might be my old eyes, but it just looks like that color is a little darker than
Than that
than
color.
this. I don't have an issue with them painting it,
Mm-mm.
I don't
I
either.
don't either.
but I think maybe they need to
I-
revisit the color a little bit.
Well, I guess that's the
So-
thing is, that's the hard part is I think, there's a decision that needs to be made. And as for, you mentioned they put creamy white on the COA. We can assess conditions on the approval and that approval could be that, it has to be that color that you listed right there. Or, I mean, if we want to sit here and go through the whole swatch and try and find an appropriate color for them, we certainly
Yeah.
can. Or.
I don't know if we can go through the whole swatch, but we may have to sometimes take out time to go through things that are comparable, just to make sure we're within our guidelines. We are set by guidelines. We're here to make decisions, but we are also here to uphold the guidelines that's already been established. So to say go through a whole swatch, I think that's taking it a bit far. I don't think that's what I was saying at all. And if that's what you understood, then I'm gonna reiterate what I just said, was that I think this is a very good color. I think it will enhance that area because it's a little dark there in that corner. However, we just want to make sure if we can change it, that we're going to change it to something that's going to be appropriate and something that's going to be acceptable. I love this idea. It's very enhancing. And I think it would do a lot, like I said, where the location is.
Okay.
So since we are open for discussion, I don't think anybody is objecting to it being changed. And so I would say that we would accept it under certain conditions.
What condition, though?
What did,
I would say that we asked them, since they're not here. and,
Right.
They should be here to, defend themselves, well, support their
Mm.
paint choice.
Yes.
I think they need to match the color of the brick a little closer than what they have in accordance to the handbook.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm sure
understand.
It's a law firm, they probably have the. handbook.
Yeah, I don't know, what
Yeah.
condition can be placed because, what happens if, I don't know if we can necessarily delay this and then push it forward than them having to come back. I mean, we could, you don't approve it, you'd have to table almost the whole thing.
Yeah.
For them to come back and find an approved color.
But they are not here, so for them to come initially would be great. If they were here tonight, we would probably get past some of this and get their approval
Yeah.
for his suggestion and my thoughts and everybody else's thoughts.
Yeah, it's
Um,
not our fault they didn't show up.
Right, so I'm
Yes.
gonna say that we do table it with the conditions that they be present so they can present to us the questions and answer the questions that we have at hand. So that is my suggestion is
Yes, ma'am.
that we
I
suggest
have a
they be here.
question.
Yes, ma'am, Mr. Chair.
Can we make an approval and move forward with it under the condition that their creamy white, their words end up being that color?
Yeah, but I think we can make an approval with the condition that it has
It
to
has
be
to
that color. But it sounds like
That's-
that color isn't gonna be acceptable based on what the current color of the building, the
is.
brick is out there.
Don't have an issue with that.
I don't
So-
either.
I will, so like I said, I think it sounds like what we're gonna have to do is, this is one COA as a whole. I don't know if, we haven't talked about the awning or the window association of it yet. So do you think that it'd be better that we table this until, next month and hopefully they'll show up then?
That is my suggestion because we don't have all the answers that we
Yep,
need.
I
And
understand.
so I'm gonna ask that we do table it and leave it up for discussion.
I would ask, I know they got a picture here, but I go by this area a lot, and depending on the time of day, that brick looks a little bit different based on the time of day, the way the sun hits it
Okay.
and so when you back out,
Very
like
dark.
even when
Yeah.
you back out a little bit,
Mhm.
it looks a little different. So matching it with the paint, if you had a couple more pictures at
Light
that might
exposure.
help with the matching of it too,
Understand.
because it just,
Mhm.
when you zoom in closer, it looks a lot darker than it does right here.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if it's, this is probably close comparison to what that color that's up there is, and you can tell, there's a significant difference in the color between, this beige tannish and the white that's over here, so.
Yes, sir.
If you all are looking to table it, in your agenda packet, there is motion language for a table, so if somebody wanted to read through that, if y'all don't have any more further discussion on it.
I want to discuss the awnings.
Okay, what you need?
Well, the picture, they supplied the picture.
That is all that I received.
Is that this awning that's in the picture looks metal.
It is metal.
Yes,
It's
sir.
not, it's a metal top.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Forgive my ignorance.
No,
What
no,
is
no.
What does the handbook say on the metal?
So.
He's got it with awnings right there too.
On it.
You're looking at,
Sorry, I'm getting a little ahead.
You are doing excellent. Thank you, Mr. Young.
so those are basically just the ones that I picked out from discussion of like these building exteriors associated with the awnings. So that's, pretty much all that states inside the handbook.
Were they submitting that as the style or the actual material?
I believe that's the actual material. I think it was, they were wanting to go with the metal awning.
So they're hitting us on two fronts where we've gotta change should not be painted, and we're allowing them to paint it in.
Well, we have discretion over that.
I understand.
And I think that there's other areas downtown that have metal awnings too.
There are.
So it's, like I said, it says this, and this is a general, guideline to go off of. But as Mr. Haley, you all have discretion, you all are an active board. So, you all are kind of the overseers of the development that goes on down there. If you can find a way that is good enough for y'all,
All right.
And
that
then
you think
this-
it's upholding the overall standard of the handbook being a collective historic downtown, then that's
I don't want to spend too much time on asking a bunch of questions that we might
If
not
we're gonna
approve,
table
but.
it,
But I do have a couple things that I think is gonna, if we're gonna have to table it again, if they don't address these things, like there's no pictures or historical reference to it. Was there awnings or anything ever on that building? Is there, cause we consider that stuff and other buildings, if something like that was already pre-done and was taken down, kind of like with McClure's furniture and stuff, where that stuff was behind something they had put up. The historical reference helps us in
Yeah.
making those decisions
I
too.
think, one of the ways that they could probably prove or show that there was nothing on there is, if there was anything that was posted up on that, on the walls before, you'd see holes.
Yeah.
And I guess the plaster or the mortar, whatever it may be. I don't know how far I can go back on the Google Maps, but I haven't seen any
I haven't seen-
reminiscence of an awning out there either. So like you said, that would be for them to come and,
Right.
answer questions from y'all at the next month's meeting, if that's still what y'all would like to do.
and the color that they're proposing, I don't see a problem with this color
Yeah.
for the awning and the trim. That looks to be sufficient, but then again, when they come forward, then I guess we could get more concise answers. But right
Yeah.
now, there's a lot of questions, so we're tabling that. We have something else on the agenda.
Yes, ma'am. Well,
there's
if
just
you'll
a-
go through the
showing.
the motion language for tabling and then make a motion to table and then somebody second it and then approve it like that.
Thank you,
There's-
sir. Go ahead.
It's only one awning above that entrance.
So from my understanding is it's two and they're both going over the windows.
Two windows.
Is on the- I'm just looking at the notes or, says example awning style to add above customer entrance in front of building. And then the estimate they have is for one.
Okay,
Well, there's
So-
two windows they mentioned in the thing too. But that, no, that's just changing the windows to new in it. It only
okay,
mentions.
so I guess it would just be going over that one area. So that's my apologies.
Can you bring the building back up?
Yep. So it'd basically just be, kind of in this vicinity.
Are they gonna move their sign?
So they actually put in a COA for new signage.
Okay,
But I mean, it's not much different than where this is located right now. I think it might be a little bit further up to give a little bit more room for that awning, but like I said, I'm not really at liberty to, answer a lot of these questions from you all as well.
Yeah.
I wish I could, but I can't speak on behalf of anybody else.
Madam Chairman, I gotta say, I don't think we ought to table it. I think they've done a pretty good job. Explained it. Can always
No, I
make them
agree.
do it over again if they do it wrong, it's just cost them.
I just like representation because something, whenever you make an application, I think your presence to answer questions that we may have and the public may have, this is a recorded meeting. And just to make sure we dot all our i's and cross all our t's and make sure that we make a good conscious decision to table it, I think it gives the applicant opportunity to answer our questions directly and us not guess it. The color, like he said, the color of the building now could be reflected different upon sunlight or, the time of day. So there are other things that we can consider. We're not objecting to, it, but we just want to be clear. And that's our duty, is to preserve and protect the historic district. And I still just stand on that. We need the applicant here. I think that shows great,
They put all this together.
then they don't show. So that doesn't speak a lot about, them wanting to be, I don't want to say respectful to the committee, but honoring the commission. Because if we allow this to happen, then subsequently, we may not have anyone to appear at the meetings.
Is that a requirement?
That they show up to the meeting? I mean, I don't think it's a requirement.
Not in-
By any means, but if it's something that you would like to see and you're not gonna approve a COA without, then I mean, like I said, this is all y'all's prerogative as well. Or if that's something on grounds where if they don't show up one time, then it's grounds, like I said, you all have the discretion of the decisions to be made up here. I'm just here to provide information. As I mentioned, there are draft motions in the agenda packet. It seems like there's still a little bit more discussion, but if there does come a time when a motion is to be made, try and use one of the ones that's indicated in there, so.
The surrounding of that front entrance. What is that painted wood or is it painted stone?
This right here,
Yeah, is it just dirty
I-
stone? or-
again, I don't know if I'm really at liberty to say. I feel like it's not wood. I think it's that stone kind of same.
Like what's above the windows there?
Yeah, probably.
So again, we have other questions that no one here can answer. So just so we can be completely clear, I think if we table this and move on, I think we'll find ourselves in a better position of knowing exactly what's going on. I don't know if we have time to research and pull pictures of the building from previous years to see if there were any awnings ever there. It looks like there's been some plastering there, the coverings of maybe some windows above and these are all guesses because I have no idea exactly, but there does appear to have been some other openings there that's been closed. But I don't know if there's ever been any awnings. I don't know who owns this building?
Right now it's occupied by Ector Law Firm. I don't know if they own the
And the
building. or
owner
not.
is, we have it in our
Or
notes.
Brendan Ector.
Yeah, so it's the same people that own the
Okay.
law firm.
So yeah, I would definitely want them to be present, just to make sure. That's my suggestion.
Now, the awning and the paint color I don't necessarily have a question about, but the around the front door and the lower part of the building below the windowsill, do they consider that the building and that would also get the creamy white color?
I think they're just talking about the brick area.
Or they just,
Yes, ma'am. But then again, like I said, I'm not really at liberty to say either, but I mean, what it states in the COA is, well, it says front facade will be painted a creamy white color, so.
And it said changing the windows to new of exact same style storefront, but with black aluminum trim. Adding awning above the entrance door as pictured in the quotes, et cetera, in black color as well.
up to now, I would have said, no, table it, act on it, but we've got questions on the awning, on the window, and on the paint. And it may be very clear to the applicant that they mean paint, the front facade will be painted. In their mind, they're thinking just the white brick, the brick. But now I'm looking at the surround. Do you want that? Is that the building or not? So they may know what they're thinking in their mind. But their handwritten note here doesn't answer the questions, the additional questions we have.
That's not.
So at this point, with questions on all three, if we could table it, I'd be in favor of that. I'd also be in favor of staff going back to Mr. Ector saying, hey, the commission had questions about the surround.
Yep.
And can you clarify the color?
Yeah, like I said, I reached out to them and let them know that their representation was needed at tonight's meeting
Well, thank
because of
Thank
questions
you,
like this.
Cameron. Great.
But I don't know if it was, taken as it should. So I don't know really. So hopefully if I get in touch with them, like I said, if whatever y'all decide to do, I'm not too sure. So I'm not gonna hang my hat on anything.
Okay, I move to table COA 2304 for 32 Southwest Court Square in order for the commission to seek guidance pursuant to the Norcon General Statute 160D-9-47 subsection D. The application will be acted upon within a reasonable time period not to exceed 180 days.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We was table this COA until next month's meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cameron.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, do we need to move now to,
Yeah, I was waiting on you to call me whenever you were ready. So,
yes, okay.
all right.
Turn
So
it back over.
it sounds like, the next topic of discussion on the agenda was the facade grant applications. Of course, this Ector Law Firm was one of the applicants for the facade grant. Three of those being, of course, the windows, the painting of the brick, and the awning as well. So three of their fees were associated with that. And the fact that we tabled it and they don't have an approved COA on the floor, they couldn't be, I guess, accepted for funding for any of those three
Yes.
items until they got approved.
So
So
it's not gonna keep them from getting funded. It's not like there's a time frame for that funding.
no, well, I'm trying to figure out if I'm gonna answer your question correctly or not. So you all have the liberty and of, I guess, extending the deadline. So, if extend it to next month along with their COA. So if they get their COA approved, we can then come back and approve their funding. So it was theirs and another COA as well that came from let's see, another law firm right there across the street.
Delello.
DeLello Law Firm.
Yeah.
So they were basically just updating their awning out there, and I guess changing it to be the same color. And adding in some text, I guess the law firm name that's going on there. And so they provided their estimate. And down at the bottom, I have kind of a list of the grant awards, how maximum, whatever you'd like to give out. With the fact that we wouldn't be able to make a kind of decision on the Ector Law Firm one. I don't know if you all would like to table this item as well until next month and see if we can possibly get some more applicants and extend the deadline as well, so we can try and use up all the funding, or if you all want to go ahead and kind of make a decision to give some of the funding to the DeLello Law Firm and then remainder, or whatever works best for y'all. So that's kind of my thought process through this. Without that COA being approved tonight, it makes it a little bit difficult to kind of work around.
Is my thought with looking at what Mr. how you pronounce it?
DeLello,
DeLello has presented. Also, again, we're back to, we have unanswered questions. What does it say in the description? I'm not able to read his pigmentation clearly.
recover
The
the-
plan is to do what?
is to recover the existing awning frame and keep the same awning color. So he's basically taking this awning right here and replacing it with the same color.
Same color,
Mhm.
same thing, just newer.
I think,
So that replacement of an awning is a minor COA. But when it comes to the aspect of installing a new awning, that's when the major comes into play. So that's why you aren't having to approve this, because it's already been approved by staff as a minor COA.
Right. We're just approving the grant with this, right?
the
Yes, sir.
monies,
So
yeah.
this would be the money being allocated to Mr. DeLello.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So like I said, if y'all wanted to allocate the funds to Mr. DeLello and move forward with the remaining funds that are left after his,
Mhm.
and extend the deadline to get more applicants, and also time for the Ector Law Firm clerks to get their COA stuff fixed up, then that's certainly to y'all's discretion as well. So
I think we can approve DeLello as presented.
I think so.
And then we can also ask for about a month extension for giving time for other applicants to apply.
Mhm.
So those are the only two things I could indicate, but I think DeLello is pretty clear cut. I think he's using the same materials. He hasn't proposed to do anything outside of the criteria or the actual guidelines. He's just taking down old and putting up
Putting up
new.
Replacement.
So he can definitely get up to the maximum, would be my suggestion.
So what you see on your agenda packet is
Yeah.
actually the awarded 100% for them is not correct. So
Oh,
it's
it's not?
half of the full price. It says right here on 100. I did it wrong. I didn't put in.
That's okay. I saw that, but it's okay.
1,215 instead of the full.
Right.
excuse me.
So we just give 50% of what's been proposed here.
Yes, ma'am, and that's at
and
$1,215.
that's 1,215 and that meets.
Let me ask a clerical, do we need to approve the extension first, or can we approve the money and then have a motion to extend the applications?
I think you could do it all in one.
Okay.
It'd be,
Absolutely.
it just basically, you make a motion to approve the $1,215 for the Lillo Law Firm.
Okay.
And the remaining funds be extended to X deadline to be discussed at next month's meeting.
What would be a good deadline?
So let's look here.
If we do 1 month,
So we wouldn't meet again until the 7th
Or in
of
November.
September. So if you
The
want
7th
to,
of September.
oh, yeah, I get my dates very.
Got a
mixed up.
DeLorean over there we don't know about?
I know. So 7th of November, if y'all wanted to, the issue is,
Mr. Cameron, if we extend the date to November 7th, then what would be your deadline?
so
do
that's
you-
what I'm trying
do
to
you
figure
feel
out, is
com-
because we have to advertise a week before the meeting. So
Okay.
I would say that Friday, the 27th of October is
Okay.
probably the date that it needs to be, because if I get a new COA application in
Mhm.
and it's a major application that you all have to approve before that, we have to send deadline
Sure.
out a week before the meeting.
Yes,
And so that would give us that Monday to get all the mailings out to all
Okay.
the surrounding property owners. So if you want to I'll again kind of run through this if somebody wants to write it down.
so if we can get an
I
approval.
think I got the
For
motion.
the level law firm extend to November 7th with a deadline October 27th.
Yeah.
So I make a motion that we accept we give the full amount to the DeLello Law Firm this evening and extend the deadline for the facade grant applications to October 27th, 2023.
All in favor?
Aye.
So we will pass the full amount for DeLello and extend to November 7th and have a deadline of October 27th. Any other discussions or anything else? Mr.
Yeah.
Cameron, back to you.
So, yes, sir.
Oh, hold on.
I think y'all got it right. So regardless, we're gonna meet again next month.
Right.
And he basically set the deadline for the new applications to be the October 27th. If that's what you were asking, of course, you can go on ahead.
What were you?
No, what I was gonna say,
Something else.
we haven't approved the, COA for DeLillo.
So we don't
We don't
have
have
to.
Don't have to.
So again, and I'll,
know.
and again, maybe, if you stick around for about like 5-10 minutes after this, I'll print you off a handbook.
Okay.
And that way you can kind of understand the difference because there's a major and a minor. So not every single COA. Yeah. So there's, I guess, guidelines in which me and Evan can approve it at a staff level. And something like that is considered to be a minor, or even there's some that we don't even have to approve at all. That's just, generic, general upkeep work. So, somebody's gonna go out there and spray paint. They don't have to come in front of you, not spray paint, but pressure wash. They don't have to come in front of you all for approval. So there's only a certain discretion pieces of information that have to get approved. So,
And for COA, Cameron always puts language there to make us sound better when we do our motion.
yeah, I try to sometimes as well. So I can drop the ball
That's
sometimes.
good.
But Chair Clark Baldwin, I think this one kind of turns back over to you with the next stuff. We're talking about your or the board's the historic plaques. So
Yes.
I don't know if I have much liberty to discuss. I'll let you kind of go through it.
Okay, so thank you very much, Cameron, for everything.
Do you know where it's at?
And thank you, board, for your participation. It's very rewarding to have everybody here tonight. So going forth, what we're looking at discussing tonight about the plaques, there's been some deliberation, there's been some some discussion about the ceremonies, and there's been some indication that what we could possibly do. We went down yesterday and we met with Mr. Robertson, and Mr. Robertson has, Cameron, do you have the picture? He has shown us pretty much what the installation is to look like based on what they've already done. So Public Works have already went down and drilled the holes and blown out the holes, so there's no dust particles to, disable the plat from being flushed. This particular brick wall does have some indentions. So what he was stating yesterday is that we may have to get other materials to help flush it. So what we decided and to bring back to the board, I said, let me give a chance, opportunity for them to hear this suggestion, is that it would probably be best that we allow Public Works to do the whole thing. And what will happen is that the day that we say the ceremonies are going to be held, Mr. Robinson or his crew, whoever does the work, I'm not sure, they will come down, they will get the holes drilled, they will actually go ahead on and install the plaque. At that time, they will put a veiling on it. The nights of the evenings of the actual ceremonies, then we would just do an unveiling. That where there's no dust, no particles, no anything that's be subject to be, flying around and getting in someone's eyes or anything. And time constraints, it's going to be turning darker earlier. So we were considering everything with the sun set. So that's what we are proposing to the board, that I am proposing to the board tonight, is that we allow Mr. Robinson and his staff to go ahead on and do the full installment and do a veiling, and that at the night of the ceremonies that we just unveil. Are there any questions about that?
No.
Any, do we need to make a motion on that, Cameron? Okay.
I think that's
There's-
just general knowledge or general
No
understanding.
one proposing, so that's good. So
Good
Uh,
solution.
yes, it is. So thank you. And so the second thing was just ceremony, the writings, we want everyone to participate. I don't know if you have a building that's in mind that you would like to do. We can just go around chronologically or, just go in order. But on the 13th of October, we have established a date for the first installation ceremonies now. Because the Hi-Fi Records and the Graham Cinema are on the same sidewalk, literally, we had wanted to go ahead on and do two
installations the same evening.
Oh, wow.
So
That's-
do two
cool.
ceremonies.
Yeah.
That way we'll have that area covered. So it will be the Hi-Fi Records and the Graham Cinema Barbershop. Both done, October 13th, Friday, October 13th, between 5, we'll gather around 5 and, ceremonies to start between 5 and 5:30. Giving time for the town to, people to get off work and to hopefully participate.
Can I ask for a question?
Do we have the plaques are there they are markers for our historic buildings,
Okay, so it's for the building, not the business.
not the business,
Yes,
the
sir. So
buildings.
there's an appendix somewhere laying around that's basically, associated with some of the local historic landmarks and the building names, all their association with it. That's pretty much what it is. It's just building name, little blurb about what it is, and then the Historic Resource Commission, stuff like that. So
You could,
Do we have an example tonight, Cameron?
it's in my office.
Pretty much what's on this building.
Yeah, pretty much. If you
That's all.
So it's a building it's a building,
I just want to know.
yeah, it's building
Yeah.
recognition, not current.
Is it possible we can bring that
Not
or,
current resident.
oh, I thought we were gonna have it.
That's
I know what
okay,
we're
but
talking
the-
about.
if you did a walking tour, you'd understand.
he's
what the
got it.
history is.
It's just a structure recognition, not,
Not
Who
for the actual
currently is-
businesses, because the businesses can come and go as they have in the past. So it's just a marker for the actual buildings. And so what we've done so far, and you guys can add to this as far as the ceremonies. We are gonna have an invocation by a minister, not just one. We could have various different ministers for the invocation. Then we would have someone to speak briefly about the building, whether it be the owner or one of the commissions here on this board. And it's just going to be short and brief. We're going to probably just talk about the actual structure. And then we would, if there's an owner that wants to be present and wants to say something, we would definitely yield to them. But other than that, it should be a very quick ceremony, not anything lengthy. If you have any family that that know any history about the building that wants to give you a little prompt to, that's fine too. Then you can just segue back. However we want to do it, but want to say, let's keep it to about 15 minutes. The entire thing. That way, if we get through 2 a night, we 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and we're done. We're out. So that's what we have decided thus far. But if you want it done any other way, anything else you can add to it, or we can definitely do that. Session. Questions?
Well, the only thing is, you said Friday, the 13th
Okay.
for those two. Do y'all have like a calendar of others are thinking about it or?
We have not set a calendar, but what we have done, we have prioritized
Yeah,
the list on the installments. So we do have them numbered as far as the order.
we're just trying to get them done in like the next few months or
Mhm.
something like that. Okay.
Yes.
And it's always, we meet at the beginning of every month as well. And so, if you want to set a date at the beginning of the month, whenever we meet for a later date in the end of the month, definitely something. Or if you want to decide one for next month and then decide
the
one when we
order
meet
that's-
next month for the next month, then you certainly can.
a
So,
month.
And since we have October kind of settled, we can look at number 2 and number 3. Cameron, could we get a
That's the
sample?
goal.
Could we get the sample here?
ma'am,
Could we get the sample of the plaque?
and it's back in my office. Do you want to go grab it?
Thank you so much.
Just bring us all off.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
Give us
man.
Everything.
It's in the big box that's sitting in one of the chairs.
So, Ms. Carrera, you know what they are. So those are the orders that we have, so we're on, the Scott Building and the Graham Cinema. So then we'll be looking at number 3 and number 4. We can do them 2, or we can just do 1, for November, whatever you guys decide. And if we could just pick a date, now in November, that would be great. I could give that to Mr. Robertson and they can go ahead on and get it ready. So that's the order. for now. And so all the owners have been contacted and everyone is on board. There was only one provision and we followed that with Mr. Robertson drilling the holes where he did on the Scott building. Wanted it in a particular place. The Graham Cinema, we have a question of whether or not there is some like marble stone. I don't know if you ever noticed it
Yeah.
on the side
Talking about-
of the building. And some of it has intruded out. I don't know because of weather or what's going on. Mr. Talley, the owner, is going to try to get it flushed back in its position. And he's indicated if he cannot get that particular areas to the left. Do you have a picture of Graham Cinema, Mr. Cameron? If
Find the
he-
front of it, that's about it.
Yeah, the front, that's all. We need to the left of it, just to show them.
Sure thing.
It kind of intrudes out, and I had never noticed that, even passing it until being up on it yesterday. But he said that if he cannot, then he gave us another area that he's approving. So right to the left, right there, that stone, right there, yes.
Oh,
If you look,
oh.
you can see a bit of an opening there,
yeah.
and if he can get that flush back, he would like it there. If not, can you go to the right, Mr. West? Right in that little corner by that glass, right around, to the left a little bit before the door there. Over to the right, it's kind of hard. To the right, where you see that light reflection? Yes, in there, there's another piece of that stone.
Back behind this
Right there,
living room?
yeah, right here by where they show the movies, yeah, right in there on the left of that panel. Uh-huh,
On the inside?
yes, right there, where you had the, right there, pointed to the right now.
Like right in here?
Yeah, right in there, uh-huh.
So you wouldn't be able to see it from. the
Right,
sidewalk.
that's my only fallback, but it's up to the discretion of the owners, and we had indicated that previously. So those are the only two spots that he's approved so far. So hopefully we'll have an answer back from him, and he and Mr. Robinson were gonna touch bases, and of course, I'll follow up with Mr. Robinson to find out what he's found out about them being able to fix the area that's really visible. So those are the only two things that we found about that building. So and it would be good if I know you guys schedule, and then going forth, we will just call different people to come down and look as well, you know, with the owners as we go through this process. So if any person that be willing to come down, and it only took us like 10 or 15 minutes, other than just waiting around. But as far as what Mr. Robinson was able to display and show us, only took us a few minutes. This Mr. Young and Mrs. Carrera is the actual final product. If you want to hold it
Mm,
and
it's a
get
little
the
heavy.
total effect of it.
They're real heavy.
Quite heavy.
Let her touch it.
There's no
There you go.
screw here.
See? Attached. See, and that's a good quality. We went with the best.
Flush.
Very nice, Mr. Young.
I didn't know what the plaques were for.
Yeah,
That building.
the building, yeah. So I think now the whole board has seen it, so we can put those back in position to be installed. But I think that's what number is that, 7 or so?
1921.
Yep, that's JM Ivy building. So that's gonna be the very last one to be installed. So that's why we held that one out, so you guys could see it. But other than that, just going forth, so now we have 2 out of the way, number 3 and number 4.
I'd say, Cameron, do you have any recommendation for a date in November based on anything the
I-
city's doing?
I would just, I
Would
mean,
not be a good date.
I don't know much about what goes on inside the city, to be quite honest with you,
Okay.
events wise, so.
well, Veterans Day is the 10th. The 11th,
11th.
we're out of school on the 10th or 11th, so that's,
Night.
it's that Friday or Saturday, so, you know, you
Um,
might have more people down that way because of just, people having off work and stuff. But, then we get into Thanksgiving weekend and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So that's probably, I mean, I would say that
Kinda
I might be out of town that weekend. I don't mind going to the Hi-Fi and, the cinema on the 13th.
Thank you.
I can do that one.
Any other thoughts for November or? Because we're going to keep going into holidays up until the first of the year. So if the 10th sounds like a date that he was indicating may have a lot of traffic being the school is out and.
I don't have an issue with T-Day. But honestly, I wouldn't know if I could be here until probably an hour before it was happening.
Okay.
It's just the nature of my business.
Yes, yes, we understand.
17th might be doable because 16th.
Yay, happy
But
early
either one,
birthday.
I'm trying to be as flexible as possible.
Yes, we
If-
understand.
As long as somebody can let me know when we're supposed to be there, and I will do my best to get there.
So Mr. Haley, just so I'm clear, you were saying November 10th or the 11th?
Well, I mean,
Are those the two
no,
dates?
I'm saying that one's fine, or the 17th. Then you get into Thanksgiving and,
Okay.
all that time where I wouldn't want to do it during that because of obligations and stuff. So, it's easier for me to know, like tonight, I can tell you what's happening in the next 2 weeks. For me to tell you what's happening in middle of November,
Yeah,
I mean, that's harder. So
right, we
it's,
understand.
it's easier for me if you say, hey, we're gonna do it this night with our next meeting, and I can say, yeah, I'm gonna be there or not. So,
Right.
I mean, yeah, we could do one on the 4th or the
Or we can do
3rd.
one on the 10th and one on the 17th.
Yeah, that's fine. I think the more we can get in, the better. I mean, to get
Yeah,
them
me
up,
too.
so.
Is there a reason we couldn't do it on the 27th?
That's the Halloween bash.
That's
down here.
Halloween bash, yeah.
Downtown, Yeah.
No, it's downtown.
Huh?
So. You won't be here on the 10th? Okay, who's all available on the 10th? Show of
Not
hands.
going anywhere ever.
You're not going anywhere ever? What?
That's what I said.
You about to any of the installations?
No, I mean, I'm not going out anyplace ever.
No.
So I'm always available is what I'm
Right,
saying.
oh, okay. I'm like, oh, you doing what, honey? Okay,
Y'all pick what you want.
okay,
If you're
so
not
any
gonna be
objections
there,
to the
I
10th?
can cover.
I might not be here, but I'll be available for the 17th.
Well, let's do the 17th. How about 17th?
17th is a big
Any objection to the 17th? Okay, so we
17th
are
is
decided
the-
then the November 17th,
Second one,
we'll do the 3rd,
third, that's right,
Yes,
third, because
mhm.
1 and 2 is,
unless there's a holdup with Graham Cinema.
1 and 2 are the 13th of
1 and 2 on
October.
the 13th, and then 3 and 4, want to try to tackle 2 on that day?
Sure.
Okay, so let's try to do 3 and 4, which will be Hatley Belden and Graham Drug Building. I'm sorry?
5:30 again.
Yeah, we're gonna do 5:30. We'll announce it at 5, and then hopefully people are gathered by 5:30. If you say 5:30, they show up at 6, 7, so let's announce for 5. Our town manager has been asked to come up with some graphics for our announcements. If you know any place, place that covers media, any, body that you think would like to come out and cover the ceremonies, please feel free to get that information to me so we can make sure that it's all being sent out the same information. So it'll be
Mm.
released from either the town manager, or she may turn it back over to us to release. I'm not sure, but the graphics has been asked her. We've asked her to come up with the graphics to use. So everything is consistent and we're not just sending out different stuff. So
Does the town PO have like a distribution list they just send stuff out to? Okay.
yes, there's one established, and I don't know which one they would use for this event. Again, that would be the discretion of the manager and of this board, if you like for her to come back and tell us exactly what it is or who she's sending to.
Oh.
But if not, we'll just give her the liberty to go head on because she knows what she's doing. So, and I trust that.
I misunderstood you because I thought you said she'd give it back to us to release. I'm like,
Oh, no.
we ain't really.
No, I'm saying if there's any media, any person that we hear
Media contacts.
Contacts
Help us.
that you would
Yeah.
want to release it to,
Let her
turn
know.
it over
Okay.
to us and then we would submit it to her so it can all go out in the same form at the same time. Also, I think, the city is gonna help us with some publications. So I think we'll be well covered.
Okay.
We'll be well covered with that. Am I missing anything? Am I forgetting anything? Don't know of anything else. Is there anything, anything you guys can think of that we're missing? Okay, so we have an established date, then November 17th, and then we'll be installing, excuse me, number 3 and number 4, Hadley and
Right.
Graham Drug. Okay, is there anything else, from this, staff?
I think there's another item that you wanted to talk about.
Mhm.
What was that, sir?
The square stuff, it's,
Oh, yes. So I had a person to come to me, you talking about the Square Arts?
yeah, but
Yeah. So I had a person that came to me at a Graham Recreation function or somewhere I was at a function, maybe at the museum. And they requested that we bring back, and some of you may remember it, I don't, I've never participated in it. But they asked that we bring back the Arts
on
of
the
the
Square.
Square, or what is
Oh,
it?
Arts Around the Square.
Arts Around the Square.
That's a pretty popular, we're bringing back the balloon festival and the Arts Around the Square was a pretty big event,
Mhm.
when they did have it.
And if we were deciding to put that on part of our calendar, we would get it with the group that has been, sponsoring it over the years and maybe get an idea from them how we could help them, or if they would like to help us bring it back to life. But I understand that there's already an established group that was handling it, so I don't know how we would go forth. Suggestions? Yes, Mr. Parson.
Council will approve $10,000. Later down, there's another $10,000. Grant money. To go towards this event. Parks and Rec. I'm gonna do something with it. We haven't established exactly what it is. So we have talked to, Arts Council, one used to do the event. They are not prepared, they don't have the staff right now to put that on by themselves. So it is kind of in limbo, but it's moving, but it's moving slowly. But it is an event that is planning to
Excuse me.
take place again. What the event will exactly look like. My vision of it is not a vendor event so much as a artist event. Where people come downtown to crafts, different, I talked to one lady that does that glass. She can come down, she can sell it at the booth, but she will also display how to do that glass. You got a potter that wants to come down, set up a pottery wheel, put some of this stuff out, make some pots there. Get downtown, it'd be more of an artist event. I mean, when the state fair, they have.
Call it a Maker Fest now.
Yeah, so they have the
Yeah.
state fair, where they, all the people have their artists, they come out, they display a lot of dress, beard, correct, blacksmith, everything. Get the opportunity to go to state fair, make sure you go to the guest your village and walk through that and kind of give some idea of what me personally and lots of other people I spoke to on the board, that's what we envision it to be, not just a willy-nilly vendor event.
Still gotta eat.
Yeah, I mean, you have great restaurants, of course. It's like what it used to be back in the eighties, the
Yeah.
restaurants would be overfilled, so you would need additional.
That was like an all weekend thing, wasn't it? From like Saturday and Sunday and.
And right now, we're kind of looking at maybe just a one-day event. It may grow into multiple days. Problem is, you're blocking Highway 87 to the state road. It's getting the approval for that for multiple that we've done. And you're also blocking businesses that are open. It's kind of a fine line. Some businesses will do well, and some businesses will do not. So, you've got to balance that. So it is something that is definitely in the works, but there has been money allocated. And so it will come, I don't know if it will come this coming year. This springtime will be here before you know it, that was the projected time to do it. I don't know if there's enough time and there's enough resources or manpower to pull it off this year.
Do you remember what time of year that it was normally held? Normally spring, that's what would make sense. Okay. And with the Art Council, sounds like they're just not against doing it. They just don't have
Don't have
the
the funds.
monies and they
Yeah.
don't have the employees. Yeah, they don't have the employees or the monies. We have $10,000 that's been allocated. Okay, so we got $20,000 that's been allocated. My suggestion may be then that if we could work in conjunction with the Arts Council, and having them to instruct us, and then we can just back them and help hopefully be able to supply some manpower.
Give us.
and just give
let
us-
have the ball.
Yeah, if
Then
they can
we-
just give us their previous notes, or they like to pass that on to us.
Understanding, Kerry was out. That was it.
I would just hopefully think that maybe we would have some records that were on file, where we can just maybe go to the Arts Council and just ask that question. I don't know. If not, we could possibly reach out to Mr. Carey. I don't think he would oppose us. Inquiring. I don't know how that would go, but if not, we can recreate the wheel. There's so many people that have so many memories about it. If they are passing it to us and saying this is just something we just definitely cannot do and don't have any interest, then we can just recreate the wheel. We can do something similar and not the exact and make it our own baby. So was it your suggestion then that we just remove it from our agenda, or what should we work in?
So.
It's further along down the road.
It's,
Yep.
it's so far in the future right now, I don't know that any help, any suggestion would be welcome.
Okay, so you think that when I'm just getting clarification. So are you stating that the Parks and Recreation has it on their agenda to put this back on? Because,
Yeah,
Oh.
and that's the first one.
okay, because if so, what I'm saying, we don't need to kind of, we just need to kind of just say we're available if you need our help, but I don't think we need to put it on our agenda to start trying to plan it and create it. Okay, so then we're just gonna say then that,
No action required at this.
yeah,
time.
no action required
Just
I-
At this time.
at this time, no action required at this time.
I can pass that on that you guys are going to help plan to Mayor Tally or whoever. And
If they want to create an ad hoc committee or something like that and we can participate, that's fine. But it's not something that we just want to take away from anybody. So if they've taken that on and if it's on their agenda,
that being said, Recreation Parks has a pretty full plate already with the different events that they do. I don't think it would be an objection for anybody to take it from them.
how would you suggest that we proceed from here? What would be your suggestion? Do you think we need to contact Brian? Give it in another month.
See where we're at.
So if we meet in December, maybe we can discuss it in December. Is that what you're suggesting? And that sounds fair to everybody? Anybody? Okay.
I'm
So-
gonna go on the record and say, like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to, like, commit to helping with that. I know what an undertaking that is. I'd be willing to
Oh.
be like, to consider things that come up, but like,
Physical.
those things that are like Arts Around the Square or Dogwood Festival, those are huge undertakings
Yes.
for like
Yes.
a small group of, a small number of people. And without more information, I'm not gonna,
Me neither.
Maybe some-
Yeah.
I won't do crowds.
One part of it, not the whole thing.
You need some help in the back.
Well, like I said, if we want to form an ad hoc committee so we can get a clear understanding of what our role would be, with us not having to obligate ourselves to anything, I think the board would be more susceptible to that. We'll be more open. But like I said, I have no understanding other than it's been described to be something that was very well attended. And just something that people do want to see come back. At this time, the board is saying because we don't know a lot about it, we're just gonna try to say we would just need more information.
Maybe it would be better if somebody, a citizen suggested to the city council. The city council.
City council's already approved it. They've already approved money to go.
They start to have a committee, form a committee, and say. Let them.
Give it a little time to see. Where it all.
Work.
falls out.
We can just let,
We take what people want, we have that established, we can see what you guys can do.
okay.
That's my only issue. I don't know.
No, that sounds
Fit in.
great. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
And neither do I. It's just
It's
something
just-
that
it's
was
not that fault.
requested of me, and I told the person at that time that I would bring it to the board, and that's all I'm doing. So I'm not obligating us to do anything and haven't obligated us to do anything, so we can just table it and saying that we will hear back from Mr. Parsons, say in a couple of months. And we are not obligating ourselves to do anything at this time.
Council's got it. Yep.
Mhm.
Would be a little overwhelming right now, especially in the short turnaround.
Okay.
Springtime.
Okay,
We really need a year's worth of plan.
Okay. okay. So with that having been said, we'll just wait for you to get back with us and let us know how, if at all, that we can help. And if we can't help at all or don't need to be in participation, we're fine with that also. We're fine. I've just brought it back to the board as I promised that I would do. Was that your update, city council? I'll move now for the updates from the council. Did you have any updates for us, please, sir? Anything else from staff?
No, ma'am, not that I'm aware of, outside of new planner, Evan Workman. He's here with us, so if could be a chance where you don't see me as much anymore and you might start seeing him a little bit more. So new face around these parts, so take a little bit away from me and maybe he'll start to help you out a little bit, but not in the meantime, so. What?
What you talking about, Willis?
I figured y'all be up in arms, like, yeah, we don't have to do.
I don't know what gave you that impression, but that is not a good impression at all, not even accurate, close to it.
So Evan, tell us a little
But-
bit where
but
you're coming
welcome,
from.
yeah.
How did you land here?
Well, I was just, and I went for Parks and Rec, so I was about 16 years old. And so I went to school, got my political science undergrad at UNC. Now I'm getting my MBA, and this will be all finished up in December.
Oh,
And I
Done.
got turned on to planning and applied for the job. and here I am.
Good, okay. Fair
Wonderful.
enough.
We,
Welcome. That's
yeah, we
fantastic.
welcome you wholeheartedly,
Yeah.
and you are under good leadership, and
Yep, you are.
if
Well placed.
if he
Yep.
turns you over
Well
to
put.
us, then we're going to go solely off his recommendation. And so, welcome, please, welcome. Yes, there was something else. I just,
I would like to say
Yes, and thank everybody for being here tonight. Yeah, I feel very good. But it was one more thing. I'm sorry. I can't remember. I forgot. I forgot. Okay, so we'll have to just think about that. If I do think about it, Mr. Cameron, something that that I was gonna ask you, but anyway, I'll just email you. If there's nothing else, thank everybody again for coming out. It's been a great meeting. I think we got a lot of clarity and a lot of things established. We're looking forward to the next meeting and having the representation from Ector Law to come and present their application to us and answer questions. So if everybody can have their questions ready, and Mr. Cameron probably already has them noted, so I have some and I'm sure he does too. So hopefully we'll get everything addressed and we'll be able to make a decision on that COA A2304. Nothing else tonight. I ask that we make a motion that this meeting be adjourned. Make the motion. Okay,
I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn. the meeting.
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting adjourned, 7:26 PM.